Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This video is on section 1 of chapter 1 of GCSE Further Maths, which is called Number Systems. So this first section is all about just it's a revision of working with ratios, fractions, percentages, and all those things which are related to numbers. And you know this first section doesn't have anything new, so it's just going to be a practice. That's why in this video I'm not going to teach you anything, because remember that when you are doing GCSE Further Maths, that means that they expect you to know all the GCSE content, because in GCSE Further Maths, either it's going to be just building up on those your knowledge of GCSE Maths, or just introducing you some brand new topics. Okay, so let's get this started here, and I'm going to start from here, which is question 4, and just doing quickly part A, which is part 1, which is asking us for the value when we increase 80 by 5%. So this is very easy, and the way that we do is very simple. So we say that 80 plus, because we want to know what happens to 80 when we increase that by 5%, plus, remember that 5% just means 5 over 100. So plus 5% or 5 over 100 of 80. So that's how we can do all the percentages questions, which are to do with increasing or decreasing a number by a certain percentage. And in this case, that's how we do this question. So now it's going to be 80 plus 400 over 100, and these two cancels out. So it's going to be 80 plus 4, which is 84. So that's the answer of part 1. Now let's do part 3, which says that decrease 20 pounds by 40%. Okay, so for part 3 we do exactly the same thing, but remember the difference here is that we are decreasing. So when we are decreasing, we subtract that, unlike the first part, which was addition, because we are increasing 80 by 5%. So this means that our new answer should be greater than the one we got. So now let's do part 3, and in this part we have 20, which is our initial amount, and we are decreasing that by 40%, which means that minus, and 40% means 40 over 100 of 20. Now we just need to work out this. So this is going to be 20 minus 800 over 100. So again, the zeros cancels out, which is going to be 20 minus 8, which is 12 pounds. And that's it for part B. Right, now let's do a different one. So this time let's do the second question of the second part of question 5. So this one says that 3250, decrease that by 3.5%. so this is exactly the same thing, but this is just using kind of a different type of a number. So this is using a decimal, but the method is still the same thing. So again, the initial amount minus, because this is decreasing, so minus, then 3.5% just means that 3.5 over 100. And of course we can now we can just change this fraction, because we can multiply top and bottom by 10 to get rid of this decimal here. So we can do that. And I'm going to do that here. So 3.5 times over 100 times 10, and that's going to be 35 over 1,000. So instead of writing down 3.5 over 100, I can just write down 35 over 1,000, because multiplying top and bottom of a fraction by same number doesn't change anything. That just produces equivalent fractions. So now I'm going to do that. Okay, and this percentage times the initial amount, which is 3,250. And now we just need to work out this. Okay, so this is equal to 3,136.25. Right, now let's do the fourth part of this question, question 5, part 4. So in this one, we want to increase 46.30 pounds by 5.5%. Okay, so before we start using the same method, it's just better to just convert this mixed fraction into an improper fraction. So 5/1 over 2 is equal to 11 over 2. And now let's use the same technique. So it's going to be 46.30, because this is increasing, so it's going to be plus. Okay, now 11 over 2 percent just means that this fraction over 100 times times the initial amount, which is 46.30. Okay, so remember that whenever you have a fraction in this form, that just means that, because fraction just is another way of saying division. So this just means that 11 over 2 divided by 100. So if you just do that division here, 11 over 2 divided by 100, that is equal to 11 over 2 times 1 over 100, because you can do this technique whenever you are dividing, so that can be changed to multiplication, and then you use the reciprocal of your second fraction. Basically, reciprocal just means that 1 over that number. So in this case we have 100, so the reciprocal of 100 is 1 over 100. Okay, this is equal to 11 over 200. So now I can just write down here 11 over 200, 46.30 plus 11 over 200 times the initial amount, which is equal to 48.8465 pounds. And we can round this and write this down to 2 decimal places like the original number, which gives me 48.85 pounds. Okay, now let's look at question 6. So question 6 is all about being able to just know how to follow the correct orders of operations. So this is like one of those first things that usually students learn when they start maths at high school. And so the first B stands for brackets, and here I stands for indices, or these two versions are exactly the same, but just the difference is here they just say indices, which is the one I prefer, and here they usually just say that orders, and D stands for division, M for multiplication, A addition, and S subtraction. So here, just I think all of them are obvious except the second one. So here, when they say indices or orders, they just mean that things like powers and roots in general. And that's the order that we follow when we do a multiple of operations in a row. For example, in this case, question 6a. So the thing about 6a is that so we have 3 over 5 plus 2 over 3 times 5 over 6. So we have two ways of doing this one, because first is just adding the first two and then timesing that by 5 over 6. So in that case, that's going to be the common denominator is 15, so that's going to be 9 plus 10 times 5 over 6. So here it's going to be 19 over 15 times 5 over 6, which is equal to 19 over 18, which is the simplified version of that. And let's do it in the second way. The second way is that doing this multiplication here first and then add 3 over 5 to that. So this plus 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 6 is 18, and now let's add these two together, which is equal to 52 over 45. And as you can see, I got two different answers here. So one is 19 over 18 and the other one is 52 over 45, and definitely they are not equal. So this means that one of them must be wrong. And have a think about this, which one is wrong. So if you now are saying that the second one is the correct one, you're right, because in the second one, what's happened is that we did the multiplication first and then we did the addition, which is the correct order. Remember that by using these two, the orders are from left to right, which means that, for example, B is prior to O, or O is prior to M, and so on. So here we have a multiplication and addition, and multiplication is the one that we do first when we have an addition. So yeah, that's how we do these sort of questions. For example, for this question, first we work out a half cubed. That's because this power is for the second one, and then we have a division which is after that. So that's why we do the power first and then we do the division, and so on. Right, now let's do question 8, because question 7 is again all about the orders and also being able to multiply and divide decimals and fractions. Now let's do question 8, which is a kind of a standard ratio question. And in this one, it says that a bag contains blue, green, and white beads. The ratio of blue beads to green beads is 4 to 3. And the ratio of green beads to white beads is 2 to 7. Now it's asking for the smallest possible number of beads in the bag. Okay, so the first thing we need to do in this question is by multiplying both of the ratios by, making them just some adjustments, so that, because as you can see, let's say in this way. So in both of the ratios that we have been given, we have green. Green is the common one in both of them. So whenever you have a common thing in both of the ratios, try to multiply both of the ratios by numbers so that those two common things are going to be equal. So in this case, if I multiply the first one by 2 and the second ratio by 3, I'm going to have 6 for green, which is good because both of them are going to be equal, and then I can use that in order to solve the question because that's going to help me a lot. So now doing that, that gives me, so ratio of blue to green is going to be 8 to 6, and the ratio of green to white is going to be 6 to 7. Now I can simply now work out the ratio of blue to green to white, and in this time at this time, so blue is just 8 and green is 6. So since here 6 is equivalent in both of them, this allows me to now combine the two ratios. But if it wasn't like this and they weren't equal, then I wouldn't be able to do that. But in this case the green is equal, so I can write down 6 here, and for the white it's going to be 7. So now this is the main ratio. And getting back to the question, it says that work out the smallest possible number of bits in the bag. So if I just draw a simple table, and let's say that in this row I have, let's just write down color. So the number of bits from each color, sorry, the ratio, basically the ratio of bits in each color. So here, for example, I can start by writing down here, which is for blue, and here is 6, and which is for green, and for white 7, and here is total. So here is a basically number. In this question they haven't given me any numbers. For example, how many greens do I have, or how many bits do I have in total? They haven't given me anything. They just have given me the ratios. So yeah, on the left hand side column it's just the ratios, and on the right hand side is the numbers. But they're all going to be blank because I don't know any of them, and I don't need them for this question, and you will see in a second why. And here is the total. So let's just add all of these, and that gives me 8 plus 6 is 14, and 14 plus, okay, before I add them I just need to correct myself, because here I forgot to multiply 7 by 3. So that gives me 21, and then here should be 21. Sorry for that. And also here, so 21. Yeah, now adding these, 8 plus 6 is 14, 14 plus 21 is 35. So 35 is the total, but this is like the ratios. And also the final answer is going to be 35. So the smallest possible number of beads in a bag is going to be 35. The reason that's the case, that's because so that's from the word the smallest possible. Because if we say that in the smallest possible case, it's going to be like when we have a ratio of 8 of blue beads, the smallest possible one can just mean that each unit represents one bead. For example, when we say that 8 over 35, the smallest possible combination can be that this just means that we have 8 beads out of 35 possible beads. So that's the analogy that we need to use here in order to be able to do the question. So by using that, we can just say that in the smallest possible case, that just means that we have only 8 blue and 6 green and 21 whites. In total we are going to have 35 bits, because remember that for ratios we usually have a coefficient, or that we multiply each of them. So that coefficient can't be less than 1, because that's about numbers, and number is a discrete unit, so we can't have 0.5 bits. That's how we do. The smallest possible number of bits is apart from 0 is 1, and that's how we do this question. So we have in total 35 bits, which is the smallest possible number of bits. Right, now let's do the last one, which is so this is like a percentage. It says that 55% of teachers in a school are female, the other 36 teachers are male. Work out the number of teachers in the school. So this one is very easy because we know that as 55% of teachers in a school are females, so that 45% of them are men or males. So 45%. And now we can use this in order to work out the total number of teachers straight away. So if we use just this simple table, we can write down the percentages on this column, and on this one number. So number. And so in total, because we want to know how many teachers do we have in total, so we can just put here n, the number of teachers, and we know that 45% of them is 36. So now we can just work out this, which is going to be this is like a simple ratio. This can be written as 45 over 100 is equal to 36 over something. And one way of doing that is using this fact. So A over B is equal to C over D. Whenever you have a thing like that, two equal fractions, that just means that A times D is always equal to B times C. So that's a fact. And by using that, we can write down 45 times n is equal to 36 times 100. And now we can just rearrange this, and we can divide both sides by 45 because this is a simple equation. So that n is our subject. So n is equal to 36 times 100 divided by 45. Which is equal to 80. So the total number of teachers at this school is 80. Right, that's it for this video, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you want more videos of GCSE Further Maths.